you'll be familiar by now, I'm sure, with the awful, horrendous chemical attack that took place in Clapham. And I do have to tell you, it wasn't just a chemical attack. It does keep getting called that. But it also, this person that did that also body slammed a 3-year-old multiple times onto the concrete, and then, of course, went on to hit her mom with a car. Absolutely disgraceful. Anyway, the person that is suspected of this is still on the run. We're on day 6 now. I'm showing you the latest CCTV footage. I've got to say, you know, slight tangent, but it never kind of... when I look at this, I think, how is CCTV footage so bad? I mean, if you're listening on the radio, you've got to take my word for it. It is so grainy. And I just think, how is that possible in 2024? You could get a better picture on your smartphone. Anyway, a slight tangent. How do you think it is that this guy has still not been caught?
I was listening to GBNews at the weekend.
Well done.
And
good.
One of your guests said he may well already be dead, and I believe the Met Police have now said the same. Given the severity of his injuries, I don't think that's impossible, although I do think he would probably be found quite quickly if he has died. It's a horrific crime, and he shouldn't have been here to have committed it.
No, he should not. I'm not sure I buy this dead theory, I've got to say. You know, because there's other theories around that actually he's been harboured and helped by people, of course, who had that arrest, and then the fellow released subsequently on bail. Anyway, Andy, where are you with it?
I think it's so bizarre. Like you were saying, you know, London is one of the most surveilled cities in Europe. You know, it's definitely the most surveilled in the UK. You've got a bloke who's got half of his face missing and we can't find him. That's just such an odd thing. I mean, you know, I think it'd be difficult for him to be harboured. You know, there was a statement came out from a shop in Newcastle where he used to live saying they thought he was a good Muslim and that they were shocked that he'd go and do this. So I think a lot of those communities have actually rejected him and gone, wow, this guy's nuts, which is fair enough to them. And it's just so odd that they haven't found him yet.
But it does really bring home the problem with our asylum system, that certainly one of the theories that is going around is that he is being harboured by the gang who smuggled him here in the first place on the back of a lorry. That once you've come into this country illegally, you have a criminal network, and when you do something horrific like this or any other crime, you've got people to go to in a way that I think any of us on this panel would not.
I mean, you've got to be a special kind of wrong, haven't you, to even think about helping someone who is possibly capable of doing some of the acts that I've just mentioned to you. Let's talk about this whole notion then, apparently, that this guy converted to Christianity, and that apparently was the thing that swung it when it come to him getting asylum in this country, having had 2 failed bids already and 2 criminal convictions. I mean, you're a religious person. Do you kind of think, oh, my arms are open to absolutely everyone that wants to convert? Do you believe that these conversions are genuine?
No, I don't believe they're genuine in most cases. I think it is a cynical ploy to be allowed to stay in our country and used to game the system, and that there are gullible fools, mainly, as far as I've seen so far, entirely within the Church of England, who think they're doing some kind of good by encouraging this and saving them from having to return to their country, whereas in fact what they're doing is putting their own parishioners at risk and the other people who live in the United Kingdom. That if you allow criminals to stay, the chances of them committing crime are clearly higher. In terms of Christianity, if your soul belongs to the Catholic Church and you want to convert to it, it is a very, very rigorous process. It takes months and years of devotion to the church, and if you wanted to do that for your soul, I would thoroughly encourage it. But if it is for any kind of beneficial treatment, it would be heretical.
What do you rate to that, Andy?
I think, you know, on the Bibi Stockholm barge, this is, you know, they've had, what is it, 40 people, 30 of they've had this big, you know, awakening on the barge. Clearly, there's a preacher amongst their ranks. I think it's difficult for us to sit here, you know, no knowledge of these individuals. You know, some of them could be genuine. Some of them genuinely could be. They could be welcomed into a Christian country and think, wow, this is it for me.
But also, it shouldn't make any difference to their claim, because there are very, very few countries in the world that if you turn up as a member of the Church of England, you are going to be tortured or put to death because of that.
I agree.
And it should therefore be kept completely separate to any claim they're making, which should be done on the normal legal grounds. And religion shouldn't come into it.
I think that's part of the issue. You know, we've got this wider asylum, access issue. You know, the migration process, the asylum seeking process, it's completely flawed. You know, it barely works, it barely functions, and it's just part of a wider failure of this Conservative government. You know, we've had 5 Home Secretaries in 5 years. They're clearly not serious about these kind of issues. Otherwise, they wouldn't. They would have fixed it by now.
It has been going on a very long time, and
what, the Conservative government or the failures of the asylum
failures
system?
of the asylum seeker, the asylum system, that is not fit for purpose. But if you are refused, you should also be removed. And the case of the BBC journalist...
Or without appeal?
You can appeal from where you end up, but I don't think you should be allowed to appeal from here. That it should be swift and fair justice. Justice is only ever effective if it is swift, and our system is not. And if you look at the BBC journalist, the African editor who was being a paid expert in asylum cases, a lot of the people she was defending were criminals before the cases were heard, and when they lost, they vanished. That is one of the problems. You need to be removed from the country very swiftly after your asylum has been denied.
Yeah, but all of these deportations, Andy, they're blocked, it feels like, all the twists and turns. You've got armies of lawyers who I suspect are making quite a few pounds in cash off some of these cases. Then you've got, for example, let's just say you do manage to get someone onto a plane. Then you come into face-to-face with a load of do-gooders on the plane that take it upon themselves to get these people taken off the plane, only for then for it to become apparent that these people have got a litany, kind of like a rap sheet of previous crimes.
In fairness, I'll criticise the government as much as I can, but I don't think the do-gooders is their fault. You know, these protesters, they're entitled to protest, whatever. You know, they can be reprimanded by the courts and then leave it to the courts, as far as I'm aware. You know, a lot of them are either exonerated or they do go down. There's not much in between, but it just goes back to that wider flawed system. You know, why are we struggling to get people on planes if we are deporting them? You know, they're vanishing. There aren't clear records. You know, it's just failure after failure after failure of this asylum and migration system that the Conservative government just haven't done anything about.
So, but then how do you police this then, right? Because just for the record, I don't believe that these kind of conversions in the main parts are genuine. I'm sure there might be a few that are, but I personally don't. I think it's some kind of conveyor belt of scam in order that people have figured out, actually, if I say this, then I can remain and whatever. But on the off chance that somebody is... you know, they've seen the light and all the rest of it, and they've decided to change their entire belief system. I've got to say, it doesn't wash with me again. But anyway, if they did, because then the next thing is as well, then people will say, well, I'm gay. So if I go back to wherever it is, I'll be persecuted because I'm attracted to the same sex. I mean, I'm laughing because it is just laughable, but then how do you disprove that case?
But they absolutely already do, and the system is being gamed in every possible way. There are asylum seekers who have admitted to pretending to be gay in order to be allowed to stay. The BBC journalist I just mentioned, one of the reasons she gave for defending someone's right to stay here was that he had visible tattoos, and in Somalia, they might think he was gay. Anyone can go and get a tattoo, just like anyone seemingly can convert to the Church of England. It doesn't mean that it should make any difference to whether you can stay here or not.
What is this world coming to?